Life has never sent you a single blow without hiding something inside it. You may not believe that right now. You may look at your losses, your disappointments, your tired body at the end of the day and think, there is nothing good in this. This is just punishment. That is the thought that keeps you poor in spirit and poor in results. The truth is harder and more powerful. Every struggle you are facing contains a flip side, an equal and opposite opportunity, a hidden advantage, a form of strength being offered to you. But most men never see it. They stare only at the pain and curse it. They never turn it over. Think of your current struggle, not in vague terms, but the exact weight you carry. Perhaps you are fighting with debt, with fatigue, with a heavy responsibility, with loneliness, with repeated failures in your work. Notice how your mind describes it. This is unfair. This is proof that I am unlucky. This is holding me back. That is one side of the coin. It is the side that anyone can see at a glance. The other side is not obvious. It must be searched for. And only the man who looks for it receives it. There is a law as precise as gravity operating in your experience. Every difficulty carries with it a seed of equal or greater benefit, but that seed is wrapped inside the difficulty and must be deliberately extracted. The struggle is the shell. The advantage is the kernel. Break the shell and you grow stronger. Sit and weep over the shell and you gain nothing but bitterness. The difference between the man who rises and the man who sinks is not the size of their problems. It is how quickly they stop staring at one side and start searching the other. You are not the only man who wakes at night asking, why is this happening to me? That question in that form has no power. It looks backwards, it accuses, it invites self-pity. You must change the question. You must ask instead, what is this trying to build in me? What capacity is being demanded? What ignorance is being exposed? What strength is being forced out that comfort would never call forth? The moment you ask that way, your struggle begins to turn. It has not vanished, but it has changed from a whip into a trainer. You have made a habit of seeing only the cost of your hardships. You count the hours wasted, the money lost, the chances missed, the energy drained. You rarely count the abilities forged. Patience stretched beyond its old limit. Endurance increased, judgments sharpened, illusions burned away. You say, I can no longer tolerate nonsense, as if that were merely weariness. It is also clarity. You say, I no longer waste time with certain people or pursuits, as if that were only disappointment. It is also wisdom. These are the beginnings of the flip side. But because you never trained your eyes to value them, you treated them as damage instead of dividends. Let us speak plainly. You would not have grown under ease. When everything is comfortable, the average man does not question himself. He does not examine his motives. He does not ask whether his habits are useful or wasteful. He drifts on the surface, soothed by small pleasures and protected from himself by the softness around him. Only when pressure arrives does he begin to see who he really is and what must be strengthened. Your struggle is forcing you to meet yourself honestly. That is painful. It is also priceless. Consider what your current situation is revealing. If you are pressed for money, you are being shown your relationship with discipline, planning, value, and courage. Do you spend to soothe your frustration or invest to improve your position? Do you hide from ledgers and figures, or do you study them until they obey you? The lack itself is not a curse, it is a mirror. If you are bearing heavy responsibility, caring for others, leading a team, managing a burden, you are being shown the exact capacity of your patience, your composure, your ability to stay steady while others stir. That weight is either crushing you or forging you. which depends on how you interpret it. Notice how you speak about your struggle. Every time you say, "This is ruining my life," you train your mind to look only for ruin. You walk past small victories, small lessons, small proofs of your own toughness without noticing them. Your language points your attention. Begin to change it. When you are tired and tempted to groan, "This is killing me," correct yourself. Say, "This is stretching me. This is showing me the exact size of my current strength. This is revealing where I must become larger." That adjustment may seem small, but it is the turning of the coin. You must accept this uncomfortable fact. The same pressure that breaks one man builds another. The same fire that melts one metal hardens another. Struggle in itself is neutral. It is the material out of which your next self is cast. What determines the shape is your response. Do you curse and collapse, interpreting every difficulty as personal insult? Or do you stand and observe, interpreting difficulty as a stern but fair instructor? The law does not change according to your feelings. It says, what you resist blindly persists. What you study and adjust to transforms you. Understand that the flip side of your struggle is never handed to you at the beginning. At the beginning, everything looks like loss. You are confused, offended, shaken. That is natural, but if you stop there, you remain a child in understanding. A mature mind endures the first shock, then begins its search. It asks, when the dust settles, what will I know that I did not know before? What tolerance for pain will I have developed? What foolish assumption will I have tested and discarded? What false dependence will I have outgrown? It looks beyond the immediate discomfort to the permanent gain. You may think, this sounds noble in words, but my struggle is ugly, humiliating, draining. I see no advantage at all. That is because you are trying to see the harvest in the same moment as the sowing. The soil does not sprout in the instant the seed is buried. The work is hidden. There is a period in which you see only darkness. That is where you are now. But you have been here before in other forms. You once endured something you thought would end you, and months or years later you noticed a new calm in your voice, a new hardness in your spine, a new patience in your dealings. You did not connect it, but that was the flip side of your earlier pain. The tragedy is not that men suffer. Suffering is common. The tragedy is that they suffer and learn nothing. They come through the fire with the same weak thinking, the same childish expectations, the same careless habits. They wear their scars as ornaments of victimhood instead of as reminders of lessons. They say, look what life has done to me, instead of, look what I have come through and what it has burned out of me. They never ask, what did this strip away that I did not actually need? There is always something being stripped away. Struggle removes illusions. You thought a certain person would save you. They did not. You thought a certain plan required no discipline. It failed. You thought you could coast on charm. You were corrected. This feels like cruelty at the time. It is in fact mercy. Illusions are dangerous. They lull you into laziness. When life tears them, it is not in hatred, it is in enforcement of law. The law is simply this. You will be rewarded in proportion to your understanding and obedience of reality, not your romance with fantasies. Struggle forces you into contact with reality. That is the flip side. You are being invited to elevate your questions. Instead of asking, how can I escape this as fast as possible? Ask, how can I emerge from this different than I entered it? That is the question successful men ask. They do not relish hardship, but they refuse to leave it empty-handed. When sickness confines them, they listen to what it says about their previous neglect of health, their pace, their priorities. When business slows, they look at the weak parts of their plan that constant success had hidden. When trust is betrayed, they examine their judgment and their boundaries, not just the other man's fault. You might say, if there is always a flip side, why do I feel so constantly on the losing end? Because you have never trained your mind to look for anything but loss. You treat every difficulty as a thief and slam the door in its face. You never notice that behind its back, it was carrying a set of tools it intended to leave behind. Tools of perseverance, clarity, discernment, self-control, humility. You chased it away with curses, then wondered why you stayed unequipped. From this point, you must adopt a new rule. No struggle leaves your life until it has taught you what it came to teach. You cannot always control when it arrives or how long it stays, but you can control whether you squeeze out the lesson. Ask yourself about each recurring pain. What lesson have I been refusing? What pattern have I repeated? What warning have I ignored? The moment you take that posture, you stop being merely a sufferer and become an apprentice. Apprenticeship is never pleasant, but it is powerful. Stop thinking of your struggle as a separate, unfortunate chapter. It is part of the very training you have been praying for. You ask for strength. How did you imagine it would come? In a package, tied with a ribbon? Strength is built by resistance. You asked for patience. Did you expect it to descend upon you without any delay to practice it in? You asked for wisdom. Did you think it would appear without any mistakes to draw it from? The law is uncompromising. Every inner quality you admire in others was bought with friction. You are being offered the same path. This is not a call to enjoy pain or to pretend that injustice is good. It is a call to refuse to waste pain. There is a difference. You can work to change circumstances while still using them. You can fight to improve your conditions while asking every day, what is this sharpening in me while it lasts? You are not asked to like what is happening to you. You are asked to become dangerous to your old weaknesses because of it. Take a moment and list, quietly, the traits you most respect in a man. Steadiness under pressure, clear thinking, courage, self-restraint, reliability, depth. None of these are born in comfort. They are born in nights when nothing seems to move, in days when work goes unrewarded, in seasons when your effort is misunderstood. You are in one of those seasons now. That means you are standing in the very workshop where these traits are forged. You can either storm out in anger or stay and let the work be done. There is always a flip side to your struggle, but it does not flip itself. You must turn it. You turn it with your questions, with your language, with your willingness to see beyond the first phrase of the story. The first phrase is, "This hurts." That is true. The second must be, "This is showing me where I am weak." The third must become, this is an invitation to become strong there. If you stop at the first, you stay a victim. If you move to the third, you become a builder. You have walked long enough with your head down, seeing only the dirt and the stones that cut your feet. Lift your eyes. See that the very path that has made you stumble has also carried you farther than you would have walked if the road were smooth. You are not where you were. You are not who you were. Do not waste time wishing for a life with no struggle. That life would have left you soft, shallow, and easily broken. Instead, accept that your struggle is the price of depth and begin, at last, to collect the treasures buried in it. You have heard that there is a flip side to your struggle. Now you must train yourself to reach for it, not once in a while, but as a way of living. At first, this will feel forced because you have spent years reacting, not examining. You have been tossed by events, not trained by them. To reverse this, you must bring order to your way of thinking about every blow that touches your life. You must build a simple habit. When trouble comes, you step back mentally and say, "Very well. This is here. Now I will see what it contains for me." That single pause separates the man who is governed by circumstance from the man who governs himself inside circumstance. Start with this. Accept that your struggle is already paid for. You are in it. You have already spent time, energy, and peace on it. The cost has been taken from you. The only question is whether you will let that cost be wasted or whether you will demand a return. When a careless man discovers money has slipped from his pocket, he shrugs and says, "What bad luck." When a thinking man discovers the same loss, he immediately asks, "Where did it fall? How did it fall? What must I change so it does not fall again?" One comes away with nothing but complaint. The other comes away with a wiser step. Your struggle is spilled money. Will you walk on, or will you bend down and pick up the lesson? To see the flip side of your struggle, you must examine it in 3 ways. What it reveals about your beliefs, what it reveals about your habits, and what it reveals about your relationships. These are the 3 great levers of your life. Difficulty does not touch you by accident. It strikes where you are weakest in understanding, discipline, or association. If you treat it like random misfortune, you will curse and endure. If you treat it like precise instruction, you will learn and advance. Look first at your beliefs. Behind every repeated struggle is an idea you have carried unquestioned. Perhaps you believe, "I will always be behind," or "people cannot be trusted," or "I am not good with money," or "I must do everything alone," or "If I ask for help, I am weak," or "If life were fair, I would not have to go through this." These beliefs lurk beneath your actions like the roots beneath a tree. Your struggle is the visible sick branch. Most men keep cutting the branch and leaving the roots. You must dig. Ask yourself, regarding your current difficulty, what do I secretly believe that allows this pattern to exist? For example, if you are always exhausted and overcommitted, you may discover you believe, "I must please everyone or I will be rejected." If your finances are always in chaos, you may find you believe, "Money is too complicated for a man like me," or "Enjoy now, tomorrow will handle itself." If your work never advances, you may uncover, "If I do not succeed quickly, it proves I am not meant for more." Once you have named the belief, you hold the key to the flip side. Why? Because every false belief, once exposed, becomes a source of power. You see that it has been shaping your choices for years. You recognize that it was accepted unconsciously from family, from environment, from a past wound, not as the voice of truth, but as the echo of fear or ignorance. In that moment you can say, "This belief has governed me long enough. My struggle has dragged it into the light. I will replace it." The pain you hate becomes the lantern revealing the lie. Without that pain, you might never have questioned it. That is the flip side. Next, look at your habits. Struggle is rarely the result of one grand decision. It is the harvest of many small ones. The man who finds himself suddenly in deep waters did not leap there in an instant. He walked toward the shore of neglect step by step. Your present difficulty, whatever its form, Point straight at a set of habits that have gone unchallenged. Perhaps you end each day with unfinished tasks simply pushed into tomorrow. Perhaps you let your thoughts wander wherever they please, dwelling on fear, envy, and regret. Perhaps you take comfort in idle talk instead of serious planning. Your struggle simply shows you the bill for those habits. Here again, most men stop at complaint. Everything is against me, they say, while continuing to live exactly as before. You must instead treat your hardship as an auditor. It has come to examine your books. Let it. Sit down and write. This struggle exists because I have been in the habit of, and finish the sentence as many times as you need. Do not defend yourself. Do not blame your parents, your city, the times. Just write the patterns. Delaying what matters, refusing to learn what I feared, speaking more than I act, spending more than I earn, avoiding important conversations, seeking comfort instead of correction. This is painful, but it is surgery, not torture. Once you see your habits laid bare, the flip side appears. You now have a precise map of what must be reversed. Struggle has done the work of revealing where you must exert will. Without this difficulty, you might have drifted on for years, excusing your ways because the consequences had not yet shown themselves. In this sense, your struggle has spared you a worse future. It has called your account due early, while there is still time to build new practices. That early accounting is not cruelty, it is protection. Third, observe what your struggle reveals about your relationships. Hardship tests the people around you like fire tests metal. When everything runs smoothly, false loyalty and shallow admiration can hide under the surface. When trouble comes, they vanish or they harden. You have already seen this. Some you thought steady disappeared the moment you no longer provided benefit or amusement. Others you had underestimated came quietly beside you and offered support, not in noise, but in action. You saw, perhaps for the first time, who was drawn to your comfort and who was drawn to your character. This revelation hurts. You feel used. You feel foolish. You feel alone. But if you step back, you will see the flip side. You have been given clarity that years of peace would never have provided. You now know whose voices should matter when you decide whose counsel to weigh, whose presence to value. You also know where you have allowed yourself to become dependent on approval, on praise, on company that keeps you from facing yourself. Your struggle has stripped away a layer of illusion in your connections with others. That is knowledge men pay heavily for. You have already paid. Will you claim it? If you recognize that certain companions leave you weaker, more distracted, more prone to complaining and excuses, understand that your struggle has exposed their influence. You are now free to choose whether you will tighten or loosen those ties. Without hardship, you might have kept them close until the very end of your potential. With hardship, you are presented with a choice. Continue in the same circle and repeat the same patterns, or gradually surround yourself with those who grow in adversity instead of shrinking. The flip side of your present loneliness may be an opportunity to build a new, stronger association. Now we must examine your attitude toward time within your struggle. When a man suffers, his sense of time changes. Hours stretch, days drag, and the mind whispers, "It will always be like this." That is one of the most dangerous lies your struggle will tell you. Nothing in life is permanent in its form. Seasons turn, circumstances shift, the body heals, new chances appear. Your hardship is a chapter, not the whole book. But if you believe it is the entire story, you will not bother turning the page. You will sit on the ground of this season and refuse to move. The flip side is this. Struggle forces you to confront how you have been wasting the years when they seemed plentiful. Before pain arrived, how many days did you spend mindlessly? How many mornings did you throw away without purpose? How many evenings did you sink into numbness simply because nothing pressed you to act? Hardship makes you suddenly aware of every lost hour. It gives you a fierce respect for time that comfort rarely breeds. If you accept that respect and carry it into your recovery, you will live the rest of your life with a sharpness about each day that others never gain. Decide from now on that no day spent inside difficulty will be wasted. You may not be able to change your outer conditions immediately, but you can always change how you use the hours. If you are limited in movement, you can still study, plan, reflect, write, and strengthen your mind. If you are forced to work long and hard, you can still use brief moments to clarify your aims, rehearse your principles, and observe yourself. The man who watches himself in struggle learns more about his true character in 1 year than the drifting man learns in a decade. That compressed education is the flip side. Your struggle is also testing your idea of identity. You have, without noticing, attached your sense of who you are to certain roles, abilities, and outcomes. Perhaps you saw yourself as the successful one, the strong one, the provider, the charming one, the man who always has an answer, the one who never falls. When hardship stripped one or more of these away, you felt as though you had been erased. You said, "I do not know who I am anymore." In truth, you are being invited to build an identity on something deeper than titles and performances. Ask yourself, if everything outward were taken, position, money, reputation, what kind of man would I still choose to be on the inside? This is not a pleasant question. The old part of you will say, without these things, I am nothing. But listen past that. There is another part of you that answers, even in loss, I can be honest. I can be disciplined. I can be responsible. I can be kind. I can be courageous. That inner core is your real self. Your struggle is pressing you toward it. When the outer structures shake, you must decide whether you will collapse with them or stand on that inner foundation. The flip side of losing an old identity is the chance to build a new one that cannot be taken by circumstance. When you choose, I am the kind of man who learns from everything, who refuses to quit, who keeps his word, who grows under pressure, you are laying a foundation that illness cannot steal, that financial shifts cannot erase, that the opinions of others cannot touch. Struggle makes this choice urgent. Ease lets you postpone it indefinitely. Seen in that light, your present crisis is a gift of clarity. We must also discuss the role of faith, not blind wishfulness, but the steady conviction that there is an intelligent order in life and that your effort to align with that order is not in vain. Without some measure of faith, struggle becomes unbearable. If you believe that everything is random, that nothing means anything, that your pain is an accident in a meaningless universe, you will ask, what is the use? And sink. If you choose instead to believe, there is a law. I may not see it fully, but I know that obedience to cause and effect produces results. I know that discipline, learning, and integrity bear fruit, even if late. Then your struggle becomes a test of that belief. The flip side of hardship is the strengthening of your faith. Every time you act rightly, think accurately, work diligently, refuse bitterness, while the struggle is still present, you are placing your trust in that law. When later you see even small rewards, your confidence grows. You begin to say, I do not control all outcomes, but I see that my inner alignment is not ignored. That quiet confidence is more valuable than a dozen easy seasons. It cannot be given, it must be earned. Struggle is the furnace in which it is forged. Finally, you must decide what story this struggle will tell about you when it is over. That may sound strange while you are still in it, but it is necessary. If you survive this season and remain as you were, still quick to complain, still slow to act, still blind to your patterns, then your story will be, he suffered and remained small. If you choose now to search for the flip side, to extract the lessons and build your character around them, your story will be, he suffered and became deep. The struggle itself may look similar from the outside. The difference is in who emerges. Sit quietly and write a simple statement. Because of this struggle, I will become a man who, and finish it with traits, not possessions. Who thinks for himself, who does not waste days, who pays attention to warning signs, who chooses companions more wisely, who is not broken by loss, who can help others from a place of understanding, not theory. That statement is your claim on the flip side. You are saying, in effect, I refuse to let this season pass without gaining value equal to its cost. Life respects that claim when it is backed by action. From this moment, treat every sharp edge of your struggle as a handle rather than a blade. Instead of grabbing it and cutting yourself with why, grip it and turn it with what and how. What is this teaching me? What pattern does this expose? How must I think differently? How must I act differently? That is the hand that flips the coin. You will not always feel strong. You will not always see immediate benefit. But if you persist, you will wake one day with a different kind of strength, a quiet, tested, heavy strength that could not have been bought with ease. There is always a flip side to your struggle. It is not visible to the casual eye or the complaining tongue. It is visible to the man who refuses to waste his pain, who insists on making his hardship pay, who looks at every difficulty and says, you have come. You have cost me. Now you will teach me. That man will come out of fires with more than scars. He will come out carrying the tools to build a life that lesser men will call fortunate, never knowing how much struggle had to be turned to find its hidden face. You understand now that every struggle has a flip side. But understanding is not enough. You must learn how to use that truth day after day until it becomes your natural way of living. If you do not turn your struggle into training, it will turn you into a victim. There is no neutral ground. Life is not a quiet river carrying you forward, whether you think or not. It is a current that either sharpens you or erodes you, depending on how you meet it. Start by accepting a difficult fact. Your struggle is not visiting, it is staying for a while. You will not escape it with one prayer, one decision, one burst of effort. It is a season. As long as you fight that fact, you will waste strength. A man who stands in rain, screaming at the clouds, grows cold and sick. A wiser man says, the storm is here. I will work with it. I will build in it what cannot be built in clear weather. Your hardship is the climate of your present chapter. You must decide what kind of man you will be under these clouds. The first use of struggle is to turn it into deliberate training. Stop treating your difficulties as random attacks. Treat them as exercises. If your patience is being tested by delays, treat each delay as a drill. This is my chance to strengthen my capacity to wait with composure. If your pride is being wounded by criticism or humiliation, treat each sting as a drill. This is my chance to become less dependent on applause. If your body is tired from necessary labor, treat each day as a drill. This is my chance to prove that discipline can carry me beyond comfort. You may say, that sounds like pretending. It is not. The struggle is real. The wait is real. You are not asked to like it. You are asked to assign it a purpose. You can decide that your daily pain is for nothing, and it will be. Or you can decide that your daily pain will be your school, and it will be. The same blows fall either way. The difference is what you do with them. Build for yourself a simple daily method. At the end of each day, sit in silence for a few minutes and ask 3 questions. First, where did my struggle press me hardest today? Second, how did I react? Third, what would the stronger man I am becoming have done instead? Do not write a book. Write a sentence or 2 under each. My struggle pressed me when that insult came. I reacted with anger and wasted half an hour brooding. The stronger man would have noted the truth or falsehood in it, then returned to his work. Or, my struggle pressed me when my effort went unnoticed. I reacted with self-pity. The stronger man would have kept his eyes on his purpose instead of on applause. When you do this night after night, something changes. You begin to catch yourself in the moment, not just afterward. You hear your own complaint rising, and you remember your notes. You pause. You ask, what is the flip side here? That pause is the birth of mastery. The man who never pauses is a slave of whatever feeling hits him. The man who inserts a question between the blow and his reaction has begun to rule himself. Your struggle also gives you the chance to build a rare kind of gratitude. Not the soft gratitude that thanks life only for sweet things, but the steel gratitude that says, I may not enjoy this, but I will use it. You do not need to say, I am happy that I lost this, that I suffered this. That would be a lie. But you can say, since I have lost, since I have suffered, I will not throw away the hidden gain. I will be grateful for the strength, clarity, and humility this pain can give me if I cooperate. Gratitude of this sort protects you from bitterness. Bitterness is the poison many men drink during struggle. They rehearse how unfair life has been. They count other people's blessings and their own bruises. They say, why must I climb while others glide? Why must I fight while others feast? Those questions have no profitable answers. They only deepen the wound. The wise man, when he catches his mind drifting toward envy, turns the coin again. He says, if I must walk this hard road, I will come away with treasures those who glided will never possess. I will have depth. I will have endurance. I will have the authority that comes from survival. Comparison is one of the cruelest traps during struggle. You look at others who seem free of your burdens and conclude that you are cursed. You forget that you are seeing only the surface of their lives. You do not know their private battles, their hidden hollowness, their untested foundations. Even if they do have fewer difficulties, what of it? The law does not say all men must have equal struggle. It says, each man will be shaped by the way he meets his own. You are responsible for your portion, not theirs. Your hardships are the exact tools life is using to carve your character. To resent another man's lighter load is to reject your own growth. Your struggle is also an opportunity to strip away ego. There is a part of you that loved to believe you were in control of everything, that you could not be surprised that your plans were flawless. Hardship has taken that illusion and broken it. You thought you were the master of your time. You were interrupted. You thought you were immune to failure. You failed. You thought you knew yourself. You discovered fears and weaknesses you had never acknowledged. The old part of you calls this humiliation. The wiser part calls it freedom. Why freedom? Because as long as you are protecting an image of invincibility, you cannot learn. You cannot listen. You cannot admit error. You must defend your pride at all costs, and those costs are high. But when struggle pulls the mask off, you have a choice. You can spend your energy trying to glue the mask back on, or you can say, very well, I am not as strong as I believed. Now I can become truly strong. The flip side of humiliation is the chance to build real confidence. Not the fragile confidence based on pretending to have no cracks, but the solid confidence based on knowing you have cracks and also knowing you are repairing them. Your difficulty is also a filter for your desires. Many men claim they want success, depth, power, and purpose, but their desires are soft. The moment discomfort appears, they drop their aims. Hardship tests your desires and sorts them. Those that evaporate at the first sign of pain were never truly yours. They were borrowed from others or from vanity. The desire that survives repeated disappointments, discouragement, and delay is your real desire. It is the one worth building your life around. Use your present struggle to ask, what aim have I kept thinking of, even while everything goes wrong? What purpose returns to my mind when I lie awake? What work would I still choose, even if it promised no applause? That aim is being purified by your struggle. All the weaker ambitions are falling away. This process hurts because you must watch certain dreams die. But understand, they are dying because they did not have roots deep enough to survive reality. The one that remains is rooted. The flip side of this pruning is focus. You step out of this season knowing, perhaps for the first time, what truly matters to you. Your struggle is also training your attention. In easier times, your mind could wander from thought to thought without consequence. You could daydream, worry idly, rehearse old offenses, and nothing obvious happened. Under pressure, wandering thought becomes dangerous. If you allow your mind to circle fears all day, your strength drains. If you dwell on worst possibilities, your courage vanishes. If you repeat your complaints inwardly, your will weakens. Struggle forces you to become stricter with your own thinking. That strictness is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. Begin to treat your attention like a precious resource. When you catch yourself feeding it to useless pictures, imagining disasters, reliving insults, envying others, call it back. Say, my mind is not a public square for every wandering worry. It is the command room of my life. In this room, we will think about what moves us forward, not what paralyzes us. You cannot always stop an anxious thought from knocking at the door, but you can refuse to invite it in for a meal. This discipline, developed under pressure, will serve you when times are easier. The man who learns to guide his mind in storm can direct it easily in calm. Your struggle also reveals your relationship with commitment. Before hardship, it was easy to make promises to yourself, to others, to your dreams. Now you have discovered that promises cost more than words. They cost persistence. You have seen yourself break vows under strain. You have watched your own enthusiasm fade when results did not appear quickly. Do not let this discovery lead you to call yourself a hypocrite and stop there. Use it. Say, I see now that my old way of committing was shallow. I said yes to too many things. I made grand declarations and then forgot them. From now on, I will commit less often, but when I do, I will bind myself with iron. That is the flip side. Your struggle can turn you from a man of loose, cheap promises into a man whose word is rare and heavy. People will feel the difference. When you say, I will, they will learn that you have tested that promise against hardship and do not speak lightly. But you must practice first with yourself. Choose a small, meaningful commitment that your present struggle makes difficult. A daily task, a study period, a savings habit, a moment of reflection, and keep it no matter how you feel. Every day you obey that promise, you are turning the coin. Another hidden benefit of your struggle is the doorway it opens to compassion. When you have never known serious difficulty, it is easy to judge others harshly. From a distance, their failures seem simple. He should have tried harder. He should have been wiser. He should have known better. Once you have been pressed yourself, once you have felt the weight of fear, exhaustion, and confusion, you see how easy it is to stumble. If you let it, this realization will soften your heart, not in weakness, but in understanding. You will still hold men responsible for their choices, but you will no longer delight in their downfall. You will see that behind many destructive actions lies pain and ignorance. You will be less quick to condemn and more willing to guide. This does not mean excusing wrong behavior. It means recognizing that you too are capable of error. You too have needed mercy. You too have required instruction. That recognition is the flip side of your own suffering. It turns you from a cold critic into a wise helper. And the world needs more helpers than critics. Your struggle is also a test of your ability to act without feeling ready. In easier seasons, you waited until your mood cooperated. You said, "When I feel inspired, I will begin. When I am confident, I will step forward." Now, inspiration is rare. Confidence is shaken, and yet life still demands movement. This is one of the most valuable trainings you will ever receive. You are being forced to act on principle instead of emotion. When you rise on a morning when your mind is clouded and you say, "Whether or not I feel strong, I will do the next right piece of work," you are building a new kind of muscle. When you are filled with doubt and still choose to keep your appointments, to honor your duties, to lift your eyes toward your aim, you are proving something to yourself that comfort could never prove. You are not at the mercy of your own feelings. That knowledge is pure power. It is the flip side of every joyless, heavy day you endure while continuing to move. You may ask, "How long must I live this way? How long must I flip this coin?" There is no calendar that can answer you. Struggle leaves on its own schedule. Your task is not to control its departure, but to control how much it leaves behind in you. Every day that it lingers, you have another chance to deepen patience, sharpen awareness, strip away illusions, strengthen commitment, widen compassion, and toughen discipline. These are permanent gains. Once struggle passes, they remain. The man who uses his hardships this way will emerge changed. Others will call him lucky later. Let them. You will know the price. Finally, understand that your struggle can become the strongest part of your story if you let it. One day, someone weaker than you are now will stand in front of you, shaken by a hardship similar to yours. He will say, "I cannot bear this. It is too much. There is no good in it." You will look at him and see your former self. In that moment, you will have two things: words and weight. Your words will say, "I have been there." Your weight will say, without needing sound, "And I did not stay there." That weight does not come from theories. It comes from coins flipped in the dark, night after night, until the hidden side showed itself. There is always a flip side to your struggle. You do not see it by wishing. You see it by asking, by examining, by refusing to let pain pass through your life unnamed and unused. You did not choose every blow you have received, but you can choose today that not one more will be wasted. There comes a moment in every serious life when a man must decide what he believes about his own struggle. Not in theory, not in speeches, but in the plain privacy of his own mind. That moment may not look dramatic from the outside. There is no crowd, no music, no lightning in the sky. It is often late at night or early in the morning when the house is quiet and the noise of the day has not yet begun. In that hour, you stare at the truth of your situation. You see what has gone wrong. You feel the weight of what you cannot change. You remember how many times you have begun and fallen back, and in that hour you say to yourself one of two things. This proves I am finished, or this proves I must become more than I have been. That is the dividing line. That sentence, spoken inwardly, determines whether your struggle becomes a grave or a turning point. If you choose the first sentence, your mind will immediately begin building evidence to support it. It will gather every memory of failure, each word of doubt you ever heard, every comparison that made you feel small. It will weave them together into a story of doom. You will wear that story like a heavy coat, and each setback that follows will seem to confirm it. You will say, "You see, I knew it. There is no use fighting." Then your struggle will have succeeded in its worst possible work. It will have convinced you to agree with your own defeat. If you choose the second sentence, something else happens. Your mind begins to search for what must be added, altered, or abandoned in you. It does not deny the pain. It does not pretend the losses are imaginary. It simply refuses to let them be the final word. It says, "Very well. This chapter has shown me the limits of my current self. Now, I must raise those limits." That decision does not remove your hardship, but it changes your position inside it. You are no longer a man being buried. You are a man being built. The same dirt that could cover you becomes material you pack under your feet to climb. To live on the flip side of your struggle, you must make that decision daily in smaller ways. When a conversation goes badly, you can say, "This proves I should stay silent forever," or "This proves I must learn to speak with more wisdom." When a plan fails, you can say, "This proves I should never reach again," or "This proves my method was weak and must be strengthened." When someone leaves you, you can say, "This proves I'm unworthy," or "This proves I must choose more wisely and stand more firmly." Each time the first thought closes the door on growth, the second opens it. Understand that you are not being asked to lie to yourself. You are not being asked to call failure success or to pretend that wounds do not hurt. You are being asked to assign your struggle a different meaning. The event is one thing. The meaning you give it is another. You cannot always control the event. You always control the meaning. A man who loses his position and tells himself, "Life has rejected me," will sink. A man who loses his position and tells himself, "Life has revealed my weakness and given me a chance to strengthen it," will rise. The external facts may be identical. The internal outcome is not. You may say, "But I do not feel strong enough to think this way." Of course you do not. Strength does not come first. Choice comes first. When you decide, even trembling, to view your struggle as training, you are not speaking from strength. You are speaking to strength. You are calling it forth. A general does not wait until his soldiers feel brave before he issues commands. He issues commands so that bravery has a direction. You must do the same with your own mind. Begin with this command. From this day, I refuse to treat any difficulty as empty. If it must stay, it must teach me. Repeat that to yourself whenever you feel the old complaints rising. When you encounter resistance, a slow door, a hard person, An unfair turn, say inwardly, "You will not leave me as you found me." That single sentence changes your posture. You straighten your back. You look for the lesson with sharper eyes. You listen more carefully to how you respond. You pay attention. That attention is how the flip side gradually becomes visible. There is another law you must accept if you wish to turn your struggles into strength. You cannot have both resentment and wisdom. One will drive out the other. Resentment says, "This should not have happened to me." Wisdom says, "It has happened, now I must see how to use it." Resentment keeps you facing backward, staring at what cannot be changed. Wisdom turns your face forward toward what can still be built. Your mind cannot look in both directions with equal power. You must choose. Look at how much time you have already spent resenting. Years spent turning the same injuries over, telling the same complaint to anyone who would listen, repeating the same explanations to yourself. Ask honestly, has that labor produced strength? Has it produced clarity? Has it improved your judgment, your discipline, your character? If not, then you have given resentment enough years. It has taken its portion and returned nothing. It is time to dismiss it. Dismissing resentment does not mean calling injustice fair. It does not mean praising those who wronged you. It means acknowledging that continued bitterness is too expensive. It costs you focus, sleep, opportunity, relationships, and peace. You cannot afford to keep paying. When thoughts of unfairness rise, and they will, answer them firmly. Yes, much has been unfair, but if I remain chained to that fact, I lose what is still possible. I choose what is possible. That choice may feel weak at first. Over time, it will become a mighty habit. Your struggle also presents you with a strange gift, the chance to simplify your life. When everything is easy, you can entertain 1,000 small distractions and still move forward a little. When pressure comes, those distractions become deadly. They steal energy you cannot spare. Many of the things that used to occupy your mind and time are being shown up now for what they are: clutter, idle talking, empty arguments, vague plans, half-hearted obligations, meaningless amusements. During hardship, you discover quickly what is essential and what is trivial. Treat this revelation as treasure. Make a list, if you must, of what truly matters in this season. Your health, your key responsibilities, your clear purpose, your closest relationships, your inner stability. Then list the activities and thoughts that do not support those. Be ruthless. You do not have strength to waste. If an activity drains you without building you, set it aside. If a conversation always leaves you smaller, limit it. If a habit binds your mind in guilt or fog, starve it. Your struggle has already shown you that life is too short for scattered living. The flip side is focus. As you simplify, you will notice something surprising. The more you remove what is needless, the more space you have to notice small signs of progress. Before, you were so crowded with noise that you overlooked the quiet evidence that you were growing. Now, in the clearer air, you will see that you handle certain situations better than before, that you recover faster from certain blows, that you think a little more sensibly under pressure. Those details matter. They are proof that your struggle is not only hurting, it is shaping. You must become a collector of such proofs. Many men record only their failures. They keep notebooks of losses in their mind. You must do the opposite. When you catch yourself acting more wisely than your old self would have, mark it, say inwardly, there is the flip side. When you face a fear you once fled and remain standing, even shaking, say, There is the flip side. When you choose patience where before you exploded, when you delay a purchase you once would have made impulsively, when you hold your tongue instead of speaking poison, tell yourself, this is what my struggle has been buying. These acknowledgments are not vanity, they are accounting. A businessman who invests heavily but never checks his returns is a fool. You have paid dearly in tears, lost sleep, and hard days. You are entitled to see what you have gained. That sight will keep you moving when tiredness whispers, nothing is changing. You can answer, I have evidence that I am not the man I was. There is another angle from which to view your hardship, as answer to your own prayers and desires. You once asked to be strong, respected, capable of greater responsibilities. You admired men of depth and said, I would like to be like that. You may not have realized it, but you were asking to be forged. And now you are surprised by the heat. You thought strength was a gift placed in your hand. You did not understand it is a quality hammered into your nature. The flip side of your present struggle may be that it is the only road to the kind of man you said you wanted to become. If you could reach that destination by comfort and ease, everyone would be there already. Look around you. How many men live shallow, easily disturbed lives because they have never passed through anything that forced them to grow deep roots? If you truly want to be different, you cannot resent the very process that produces difference. From this perspective, you can speak to your struggle differently. Instead of saying, why are you here? Say, so this is the price. Instead of, I hate this, you can say, I will not love this, but I will honor it by making it count. That attitude does not remove your humanity. You will still feel tired and discouraged at times. But beneath those passing feelings, a decision will remain. I will not flee the fire if it is the fire that refines me. You must also learn to see how your struggle is preparing you to handle good fortune without being destroyed by it. Easy success ruins many men. They rise too fast, with too little inner structure, and the very weight of their gains breaks them. They become arrogant, reckless, careless. They believe their own legends. Then, when inevitable difficulties arrive, they shatter. Your present hardship, if you use it, will make you heavier inside. When good things come later, you will carry them, not be carried away by them. Imagine a future where your circumstances improve. More resources, more respect, more room to move. Without the lessons of this season, you might waste those improvements on vanity and indulgence. With the lessons, you will use them wisely. You will remember what it was to go without, to struggle, to be misunderstood. You will not sneer at those who are now where you once were. You will manage your opportunities with more gratitude and more care. That is the flip side few think about. Your struggle can be the shield that protects your future success from your ego. We must speak now of one last important outcome of living on the flip side of struggle. The creation of inner peace that does not depend on outer peace. Most people believe that peace is the absence of problems. That is why they rarely feel it. There is always some difficulty present, some uncertainty, some disagreement, some shortfall. If peace depends on the removal of all of these, it will be a stranger to you. But if peace depends instead on your relationship to these things, it becomes possible even in the midst of them. When you know in your bones that every challenge conceals a lesson, every delay can strengthen patience, every loss can correct an error or raise your understanding, you no longer fear life in the same way. You may dislike what you must face, but you do not tremble at it. You do not feel at the mercy of blind chaos. You feel in partnership with law. You know that as long as you keep asking, what can I learn? How can I grow? You will emerge richer in some way. That knowledge is peace. Peace of this kind does not mean you become passive. On the contrary, it makes you more active because you are less paralyzed by dread. You enter ventures knowing they may fail, but you also know that if they do, you will extract their lessons and be better prepared for the next. You engage in relationships knowing they may hurt, but you also know that if they do, you will learn more about yourself and others. You take on responsibilities knowing they may press you, but you also know that each press enlarges your capacity. You move forward not because you are blind to pain, but because you have learned that pain need not be pointless. At the end of all this, what remains is a simple, hard-won conviction. There really is always a flip side to your struggle. Not a sentimental blessing, not a childish prize, but a genuine, usable gain, some combination of deeper character, clearer mind, stronger will, wiser judgment, and broader compassion. The question has never been whether that flip side exists. The question has always been whether you would look for it, claim it, and build your life around it. From this day, let your internal declaration be clear. I will not live as a man beaten by his hardships. I will live as a man sharpened by them. I will not allow my pain to be wasted. If I must struggle, I will become more than I was before because of it. Say it when you rise. Say it when you face unwanted news. Say it when the old complaints begin their familiar song. Turn the coin in your hand and remind yourself, this side cuts. The other side builds. I choose the side that builds. In time, others will look at you and see a steadiness they cannot explain. They will say, he has been through much, yet he is not bitter. He carries weight, yet he is not crushed. He has scars, yet his eyes are clear. They will not know that. Again and again, in private moments, you refuse to judge your life by its wounds alone. You look for what those wounds could teach, what they could burn away, what they could bless. You lived on the hidden side that most never turn to. And when new struggles come, as they surely will, you will not be surprised. You will nod as a workman nods when a familiar tool is placed in his hand. You will feel the first sting, the first confusion, and then you will say, as a deliberate act of will, there is always a flip side to my struggle. I may not see it yet, but I will. Until I do, I will walk as if it is there and live in a way that deserves to find it. That is the voice of a man who is no longer merely surviving his life, but mastering it.